and move things around. So the Robert J. Coury Applied Leadership Program, we're now going into our 4th full year in this pretty steady state. And it came out of a conversation between Rob Coury, who is CEO and chair. He was former CEO and chair, and he's still involved with a pharmaceutical company. But more importantly, his children, his sons came to Marshall, and he was having a conversation with Dean Ellis about giving back. And through these conversations, and I got involved, Jim O'Toole, another professor and sort of leader in leadership development in the business world, had conversations about what we wanted this to be. And Rob was concerned about young people not speaking up in meetings and challenging ideas, and understanding at the root of diversity and creativity and innovation that people have to feel comfortable sharing their ideas. And so through these conversations, we determined that sort of confidence, character, and courage were the characteristics, the values that we wanted this program to develop in a positive way, and settled on the Clifton Strengths Finder and the VIA Character Strengths in order to help first-year students. And it's very focused on first-year students. And those first-year students can be, now see, did it progress?
Yes, it did.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay, phew. So was focusing on talents and strengths and how you apply them to achieve your goals, because that was another key aspect, is that it had to be applied. It couldn't just be theoretical. We wanted to give students the tools, the ability, the attitude to then go out and practice developing and practice leveraging the strengths that they discovered through the assessments and through conversations in their, in their personal, academic, and professional life. So I'm going to talk to you today first about features, benefits, and the experience, and then we're going to talk to Michael and Kelsey, ask them some questions, and it's open to you guys to ask them questions about their own experience being in the program. Michael was in the program a couple years ago. You'll see him in the video that I'll show. And Kelsey was in the program last year. But the key features of the program is that it's experiential. There are exercises, assessments, reflection, which is a core leadership practice. You can't be an effective leader if you are not practicing reflection on a regular basis, on how to get better, on how to adjust, and how to consider, what you're doing and who you're doing it with. It's applied throughout the program. You are asked to develop meaningful goals. We have our activity called Strengths Wheel, but essentially is developing a SMART goal that integrates with the activities that you are already doing. So whether it's, a role in a student organization, getting an internship, improving your academics, smoothing out the relationship with your roommates, negotiating with your parents about, study abroad programs, all of these things. But what you get to do is you learn how to apply your strengths so that you can build these up to give you that peak performance consistently over time. They're supported. You are supported with trained peer mentors and who you meet with. And this spring, since it's very likely that we will be online and meeting virtually, this will be even more important. So you'll be supported by your trained peer mentors who will be meeting with you regularly, about every other week, and also checking in with you in between, and an accountability buddy within your peer group and your cohort group to help you stay accountable and keep, get into the practice of developing good habits around your leadership development and leveraging and practicing your strengths. MBV is our Masters of Business with Veterans for veterans. There's an MBA program for veterans, and they have a leadership. Their student body gets involved with our capstone program, but also are open to conversations with students about their own leadership development and bring a wonderful perspective to our capstone program. The first year in the video you'll see was very experiential, sort of a low ropes course kind of exercise. This past year when we were virtual, we held leadership panels with them, sort of open Q&A sessions, and we broke them into cohorts so they were smaller and a lot more engagement and interaction. And they're there just as another level of support and building the Trojan family, and frankly, building your social capital as well. It's unique in how it uses the Clifton Strengths, the Strengths Finder's been rebranded, and the VIA character strengths together to help you gain self-awareness, because that self-awareness and the practice builds that confidence around the character. The practice helps you build the courage to step in to lead. And when I talk about leadership, some of you have heard me talk about leadership, is there's big L leadership and there's little L leadership, and maybe it's backwards on my camera, so maybe it's big L leadership and little L leadership. I don't know, you'll tell me. I'll look at the video and we'll find out. Big L leadership is when you actually have a role, a formal role. You're vice president of membership for your club. You're starting out, you're starting up an entrepreneurial organization, and you're essentially CEO, COO, and chief bottle washer all together. But and then there's the little L leadership, and that's where, frankly, when you graduate from college, you are or even in college, you are asked to lead from wherever you stand. So whether it's in a team project or in an organization as a member, how are you going to, influence others and bring your ideas up? And you have these character strengths and these applied, practical sort of applied strengths, achievement strengths, that, or talent themes, Clifton Strengths calls them, to contribute, to help build you up to be an effective leader, an impactful leader. And then it's practical. It gives you a set of skills: active listening, crucial conversations, which involves having those difficult conversations when stakes are high, emotions are high, and the goal is very important or strategic. And how do we actually engage in productive communication as leaders, as those that want to actually make change and make a difference? The benefits are numerous, and first there you've got your self-awareness of strengths and values. That leadership begins with self-awareness. You cannot be an effective leader except unless you know where you stand and what your strengths and values are, so that you can then lead others authentically. And then you have this unique opportunity to connect among first years. There isn't another program that's over time, like the Coury Leadership Program, that allows traditional fall admits, spring admits, transfer students to come together and stay together and really learn about each other and support each other in a very impactful and focused way towards your goals than the Coury program. So we're very proud of that, and the stories that I'm sure that Kelsey and Michael can speak to, but we've been interviewing student mentors, the new group for interviewing people for the next group of student mentors, and how the stories continue about, relationships continuing that started in the Coury program, where they met, students that they wouldn't normally have met. It's hard when you're a traditional admit, you don't typically get to know transfer students as well, or even spring admits don't have a whole lot of opportunity to engage with the fall admits. Interview and internship readiness. You will be ready to answer that question. Tell me about your strengths, and have powerful stories that are very goal oriented to make you feel confident and able to answer that question, and make a great impression. It promotes the growth mindset. So with both your Clifton strengths and your VIA character strengths, we're talking about how to promote growth, to be successful, to be happy, to have to have well-being and achieve your goals in a way where you're going to have an impact. So, the growth mindsets is one that says I can work at something and get better at something, and I may not be good at it yet, but I can be good if I practice it, if I look for opportunities to apply my strengths, to reflect on my strengths. And self-confidence and courage is the result. So the self-confidence and courage to lead is the outcome. The experience involves taking on the one side reflects the Clifton strengths and their 4 domains of leadership: influencing, executing, strategic thinking, and relationship building. On the other side, and it's my screen, the right side, are the lists of virtues and the VIA character strengths. So the virtues of wisdom, humanity, justice, temperance, transcendence, and courage. And virtues, these are virtues that are common across all communities. There was years of research put into exploring what are the common values that drive a successful life, that can drive successful leaders, and make an impact make a difference in your life and in others. It's all supported by mentors, by student mentors who, provide advice and direction and coaching. The mentoring are really coaches focusing on goals, giving you opportunity in the cohort meetings to practice and develop and get feedback on the experience and on those skills. Oftentimes we are sent to workshops or learn something, and we go off and we're missing that key element of development, of learning, is to get the feedback from your accountability buddy, from your peers, from your mentor, to help you improve. These are the dates of the program in the spring. And we used to, in the past, when we were in person, we would meet from 2 to 4 on Friday afternoons with a strengths-based seminar, kind of a teach out, and then a cohort meeting. And nobody wants to sit in a Zoom meeting for 4 hours. So we'll be breaking those up into smaller sessions, perhaps pushing off some activities and development, so that when we do come together, it is highly engaged and focused on you and your goals. So the first session is strengths-based seminar, where we you learn about strengths, we explore what your results are and what they mean for you. That's the other aspect of this class. This program is that, because it's not a class, by the way, it's a program, is that it's focused on you and your interests and your goals. It's not just some generic, you come in and learn these things and off you go without any direction or support. Then in February, about 2 weeks later, there's a cohort meeting with your student mentor coaches. Those are supported by different meetups that can happen on Zoom or by text or FaceTime or email. March 5th, a month later, we focus on the values-based seminar, which is the VIA character strengths, what they mean, and how crucial conversations are effective, are an effective leadership tool. Continuing with the SMART goals, and then another cohort meeting in March. And those cohort meetings focus on the skill building. So there's active listening in February. In March, it's really focused on practicing crucial conversations. And then April 16th If we're allowed to be back together, we'll have an experiential capstone. Otherwise, we'll have some other highly engaging capstone experience and celebration of the program. So just a few more minutes from me. I am actually going to take you out of this. Well, first, before I do that, then I don't have to come back to my PowerPoint. So I really love this quote from the Dalai Lama, is with realization of one's own potential and self-confidence in one's ability, one can build a better world. And that's what we're trying to do, and to help support you do, you be effective leaders in order to build a better world going forward. So I am going to stop sharing. I am going to go to that video directly. Let's see if this works. Okay. I'm going to let it run a little bit. Let me go back to sharing. And hopefully it'll buffer faster than it plays. Gohar, would you let me know, and anybody else, please let me know if it doesn't, if you don't hear it or you don't see it. Oh, my
So
bad.
far, so good. We heard the audio.
The Coury Applied Leadership Program is designed for first-year Marshall business students. They're undergraduates who are coming into the program to build their confidence, understand where their values and characters lie, and to build the courage to really make a difference and step up as leaders in the future.
I think overall the main idea is just to learn how to be an effective leader. So it's kind of like having that balance between like what you're already good at and how you can utilize that, and what you're not so great at and how you can improve upon that.
Really two different types of meetings. There was the main events. Everyone would meet in a lecture hall, and Professor Tolan would speak, and then we would have smaller breakout sessions with our cohorts.
So I'm Orange cohort. This semester we introduced office hours, so we were actually meeting with our assigned mentees throughout the semester.
So as mentors, we really want to facilitate this leadership development process by making sure the students feel comfortable and have the resources they need. A lot of my mentees are now mentors.
Now that we've figured out through the different surveys what our character and innate qualities are, we are applying them through a series of different exercises.
The Masters of Business veterans serve as great role models for the freshmen and transfer students.
It is really a great opportunity to take those, our real hands-on, practical-based leadership that we have from the military to them, to what they're trying to build to and learn towards.
It helped us build confidence, especially when they were like, you're doing this right, you're doing great. So it was just another cool perspective that we got, that we weren't just getting from our mentors who are also in college.
USC and the institution, the philosophy of entrepreneurship, the philosophy of leadership, especially applied leadership, was critical. Our family foundation, it was natural for us to partner with this institution because our mission is to instill guiding principles in young, up-and-coming professionals, because we think that's where the biggest difference is made.
What I would say to a freshman considering applying to this program is absolutely apply.
All right. Let me just close that so that so it doesn't start back up again. All right, so hopefully that brought you a little energy. It brings me energy every time I get to watch it. I'd like to actually I'm going to start and ask Kelsey and Michael to talk a little bit about their own experience in the program, and then open it up for questions, because you probably have more relevant questions, or I'd rather address your questions directly than just keep talking. So, so Michael, we can't ignore the fact that you're in the video and you participated in the program back in 2019. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience as a participant in the program?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the program. It was, the high level themes was really twofold. It was, kind of playing to your strengths and figuring out how to supplement those weaknesses. And then, really identifying what the values that, you want to be emblematic in and what you want to be showing off to everyone else. And, really identifying like where to apply those values into leadership I think is very critical. And so learning how to play off those strengths and weaknesses and bringing out the values was like the main things. And I really enjoyed both the breakout sessions, kind of working like individually with the mentors and your peers, and then also like the lectures I thought were very sharp.
Great, thank you. I'll be back. Actually, I do have a follow-up question, but let me ask Kelsey about what she'd like to share about her key or memorable experiences in the program.
Yeah, so I transferred from community college fall 2019, and coming from a community college where it was pretty vacant most days, to USC, which is such a huge campus, especially like welcome week, and I got so many emails about so many different programs. I was honestly a little bit overwhelmed about which one to choose, and I actually got an email for the last round of applications for this program, and I was like, I need to do this. And it was honestly a super holistic experience as far as like immersing yourself in the campus with other first year students, as well as building on your own strengths. I sort of always figured that my leadership style is a little bit more relationship based. It's not as assertive, it's not as dominating. How my martial class, they're really competitive, very intelligent students. But actually in this program, I found that it was really useful to have sort of strengths where I can also spot other people's strengths, and we can all sort of play into one like dynamic team.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so my follow-up, thank you, Kelsey.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Jody. I just want to mention that Parth I think he fixed his Wi-Fi, so Parth is here, and I'm sure he could also share his experience as well. But
oh yeah, I'm sorry, Parth. Yeah, Parth, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. So I think I did the program. Yeah, no, I did the program just in January this year. So I was part of the virtual cohort. So that was kind of a cool experience as well. But yes, that was a spring admit. So I think just like Kelsey, we get a lot of emails for Welcome Week. Everybody's trying to immerse us into the community. But yeah, this was a really cool program that I picked, especially because one thing, I got to meet other first year students. So as a spring admin, I think that's all you're looking for. And I think one thing that really caught my eye was the Masters of Business veterans who came in. That was like a huge thing for me when I was applying for the program. And I even remember mentioning that, like, why are you interested in the program? I mentioned that. And honestly, they did not disappoint at all. And like, to whatever you think, they can contribute, just multiply that by 100. Because I'm still in touch with one MBB member today, Hector Cabrera, and he's just awesome. And I got on a call with him afterwards, and we're still in touch. And the lessons that you think you can get from them, they're just amazing. Honestly, it just really helped me solidify my leadership style, and just, I guess, ask. And they were super like informal as well. So it was, I was really intimidated because they're from the military. But then once you start talking to them and everything like that, you realize that they face the same issues, but they actually have to tackle them and fix them, and they can't just procrastinate on them. And yeah, so I honestly enjoyed it and recommend it 100%.
Yeah, it is interesting because I think we think about veterans in being in a certain, I think it's actually an example of stereotyping, and bias, but you stop and think about it, they are managing teams in organizations with limited resources and the same challenges we have as leaders in the business world. I mean, there is a business as well. And so it's very interesting, that's where, we talk about leadership beginning with self-awareness, is the military does a very good job. And a lot of what you've seen in leadership development in the business world is coming out of programs in the military. So Michael, I thank you, Parth. Michael, I was going to follow up to ask you, where your strengths have shown up. How have you sort of used what you've experienced in the program since, because you're more of our veteran.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'd say it's kind of been twofold. My strengths kind of come out in two patterns. Two of them were achiever and learner that play off each other all the time and comes up in a bunch of different ways. A lot of times with school, and right now I'm studying for the LSAT, but also even in like my free time, I just kind of look into random things. And whenever I do, it's like, I kind of go all in. Just the other day, I was looking at solipsism, which is like a whole theory about the only reality is like yourself, which, I'm a devout Christian. I'm not looking for answers, but I just thought it was interesting. And so it's, there's that way, there's that piece. And then on the other side, it's my other top 5 were individualization, restorative, and relator. And I think it more so speaks to, kind of like being empathetic and like the individual personal relationships that I like to form, which really came from having a big family, I think.
Yeah, and it is a matter of nature and nurture, where these talent themes come up with. So what questions do you guys have? Do you want to raise your blue hands, your participant hands, and then we can kind of take questions in order? Oh, don't anybody shout out first. Ryan, and then Isha.
I wanted to ask, how is it going to be different? So obviously, if it's going to be virtual, it's a very different experience. So kind of how does that play in? How do you think you're going to utilize the activities and stuff that you did in person and translate it into the virtual aspect?
No, very good point. Is we've been talking, actually, since we've been interviewing student mentors, we've been talking more about how to promote good, solid engagement, which will require building that psychologically safe space more quickly or more intentionally when we're online. Because we had the face-to-face, which in itself kind of is a bit of a starter, right? It kind of ignites the connection. So we're going to be very intentional in using Zoom conservatively, but intentionally, with breakout sessions, pair shares. We might have to switch the order of things around, because in the past you'd hear from me a little bit, kind of setting the context and educating. You'll hear a little less from me, but you'll still get the information in different ways, so that when you do come together, we spend a little bit of time together, but then we just springboard into smaller activities and discussions with students. So whether it's pair share, triads, or quads, and then go into cohort groups, sort of your peer related groups. And those are scheduled based on student schedules, actually, and mentor schedules. For the past couple of years, they've been pretty consistent, Tuesday and Thursday evenings and 3 times on Fridays, but we'll see, being virtual. So we might have to adjust the schedule. And then for the Friday sessions, given that students are here in the US and also located abroad, Parth, thank you for staying, I don't know, is it staying up late, getting up early? You said it was what time?
It's 10:30 right now, but I've just fixed it right now.
Yeah. So that's not too bad. So we were thinking maybe we'd have a 12 noon session and then a session in the early evening for, students in Asia. But I think the engagement with the program and with your mentors will be still very hands-on. Now, Kelsey and Parth were in it just this spring, where we had to switch midway. Well, there was only a cohort in the capstone left, But Kelsey, how did that go for you?
I think it went pretty well, considering sort of like your accountability buddy was already more accessible through text message. So it wasn't too much of a change trying to text someone you're already texting. And I feel like the cohort meeting went really well, especially Zoom's application of breakout rooms. You're still able to kind of split up and have conversations. It's not the same as turning to your neighbor, but it's still, having one-on-one conversations with the rest of your cohort and mentors. Also, the Kahoot game was really fun and it was super interactive. Red Cohort won that I was a part of, so that was really cool. I think it all went really well this semester.
Yeah, we're getting really, I'm getting really fast at putting people in pairs and figuring out naming conventions so that we can not, if you have an accountability buddy, is getting them together. We're practicing, actually, we're getting some real hands-on practice with the Coury program in GLP, the Global Leaders Program this fall, because we're doing 4 sessions with them. And so, so I think in the spring, I'm all about engagement. If you were in any of my classes, I'm not a big lecturer, and I think leadership development is key, is really the reflection and self-awareness and the facilitation. So those will still be key components of the program going forward. Isha, did you have a different question? That was your question?
I had the same question. I guess I'd just like to learn more about the practical application that this program teaches us, because the video showed a lot of hands-on experiences. So how will this look in a virtual setting?
Well, there are two things. I think I'm hearing 2 questions. So the first question is the practical aspect of the program. So I think Kelsey, Parth, or Michael can speak to the overall, the whole from February until April, how that practical aspect came to life for you. So does one of you want to volunteer?
Yeah.
Parth, okay. I'm going to call on Parth and then I'll go to Kelsey. So Parth, I saw you sort of nodding your head and raising your hand. Sorry, Kelsey.
Yeah, I think also just going back to what Ryan said as well, because I think I'm the only one who did it in a virtual setting. So
Kelsey did too.
Oh, sorry, my bad. No, yeah. So I think just the whole experience of doing it virtual, I honestly enjoyed lectures a bit more because you could see like Professor Tolan on your screen, and it was a bit better than sitting in a room of a lot of people. So it did like make it a bit better in that sense. But I think the only negative or something would probably be like the breakout rooms, and most people are shy, like including myself, when you're in a breakout room with people you don't know. But hey, that's why we're here. We're here to speak out, as Professor Tolan said. Like that's where we're here in the Coury Leadership Program. And yeah, I think having an accountability buddy just helps so much more. And and you can still be you can be in touch with them later on as well. Like I know I was still in touch with my accountability buddy because we both struggled for procrastination. So we both used to check up on each other and give each other advice, and yeah, just check on each other and not have any judgment, with you have with other people, since most people don't procrastinate to the extent that we did, I guess. But just learning a bit from that. And in terms of the practicality standard, my signature strengths are significance, focus, maximizer, analytical, futuristic. And so the first time when I saw that and I saw focus, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I did the whole survey wrong or something, and I have to like do this again, because as I mentioned, I was a big time procrastinator. But then just understanding and reflecting on why exactly I got that, and understanding that because for me, when I'm doing certain tasks I can work on it for like 3 hours and not even realize time's passed. But then after write a 2,000 word writing essay, and yeah, I can't wait for it to be over. But yeah, just understanding that and just being able to prioritize your tasks has been really helpful in that sense. And due to understanding my strengths, I was able to better prioritize my work, and then realize that if I, for example, I'm not enjoying a task or something like that, I should try coming back to it later and doing something that I enjoy, just so I'm excited about it once again. And yeah, I guess that's basically it.
Great. And then so I think that connection, the support with the accountability buddy and the mentors kind of address your question, Isha. Okay, other questions? Carla?
Yeah, I had a question about how many students are in the program, and maybe like what are some things that you're looking for in applicants?
Well, last year we had almost 200 applications, about 120 people said yes, they'd come, and about 100 people showed up. And I think that's because applications are in the fall, and then you don't really know your spring schedule until January and things settle down. So this year, I think it's a bit of a, I call it a crapshoot, but it's kind of a positive thing, because what we saw with the fall with applications, at least to the student organizations where I'm a mentor, applications for membership went way up, where they only had like 100 applications last year, they had 200 applications this year. And I think students like yourselves are looking for opportunities to connect in a positive way, and in a way where there's also a benefit to you. So there's also, by the way, a certificate and a badge you can post on LinkedIn as a result of the program. So so how to make sure your application is competitive, and that's competitive with a small c, because really the program is designed for every Marshall student, Marshall first year student. We're just ramping up. So is to pay attention when you're answering those questions. Give some thought to what you want to get out of the program, because the program is like any other program you sign up for or activity you sign up for. You get out of it what you put into it. And so give some thought to answering those questions. What is, what do you want to get out of the program? How is this going to impact your leadership ability? What do you want to do with it when you get out? And the nice thing is we take just about everybody who applies. If for weaker applications, I even go back to those folks where, maybe it's only 3 sentences and it's not a whole paragraph, and go, would you tell us a little bit more? I need to know a better sense of what you're thinking and what you hope to get out of the program, and to give them a sort of a second chance. I think first year students need a little coaching too in that regard, because this is intended for everybody, not just the elite. There are enough there are enough programs at Marshall and USC that serve, the cream of the crop, that, the top tier is one of the benefits of this program is leadership is accessible to everybody. Leadership development is accessible to everybody. And so if being thoughtful to that, I think is the advice I would give when you're writing your application.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? So does this look like something that would fit your schedules? Like interesting? You can just nod, or you can respond if you have a thought. How many of you had parents come to the come to the talk on Friday? Did any of your parents come to the talk on Friday? For family weekend? Okay, well, that's nice. There were a lot of interested parents who said, oh, can I get the dates so I can pass them on to my son or daughter, my student? So that was exciting. Alrighty. Well, if you have any other questions, you know where to find us, coryleadership@marshall.usc.edu. Michael, Parth, Kelsey, I cut you off before, I apologize. Is there anything that you would like to add before we sign off?
Yeah, I think just one thing is, I think the last point can really be emphasized, is leadership is accessible to everyone. I was never really like the extroverted, in your face, assertive type of leader. And, a lot of people think that that's like really the only way that you can go about it. But I think like my style has been more so like personal and like getting into like the individuals and kind of pushing in a positive way. So I think that's an important point to emphasize. Everyone has a different type of leadership that can be applied.
Thank you. That's a really good point.
Yeah, I think Michael summed it up perfectly. I think recently leadership has had kind of like a negative connotation. You don't want to be considered a leader because you don't want to seem like arrogant or something like that. But as Michael said, that you can be a leader in many aspects. You can be an employee, or you can be the CEO, for example. And yeah, it's accessible to everybody, and you should definitely check this program out. It's only for first-year students, and it's tailored specifically for you. So take advantage of that, and you can also meet a bunch of people who are there to learn the same things as you and have similar interests. So hopefully you can meet some friends as well in that sense. And if you have any other questions or something, you can, I think in the chat, if it's all right, I can put my name and email and everything like that, and you can just like reach out to me.
Yeah, feel free to put your emails in there, student ambassadors. That's helpful. And I think it can't go unnoted that this program is available to you as first-year students, whereas in a lot of other schools, it would be selective, or you would have to wait to be a junior or senior. And it's really important for us to lay this foundation of character, of confidence, character, and courage as a first-year student. And we're very grateful to Rob Coury for supporting us, because we wouldn't be here without his support. So Kelsey, you get the last word.
That's tough because Parth and Michael made such great points that I agree wholeheartedly with what they said. I also like with just as far as like school goes, if you're in 302, 304, 307, basically any martial core class, if you're planning on taking in spring or anytime after that, this program works perfectly with working in teams. I wish I took this before I took some classes, because I feel like I understood myself more as a leader, more in team dynamics. Even in one of my groups, we implemented the accountability buddy within our group just to check up on each other. I feel like it would be really helpful to take courses like that during this program as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all. And thank you all for coming and spending your time with us to learn more about the program. And to Kelsey, Parth, and Michael, and Gohar. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday or evening. And we look forward to seeing you in the program and reading your application.